Howdy, Connection Group leaders. Happy Thursday. I hope you're doing great today. We are in 2 Timothy chapter 4, and there's a lot to cover, so let's jump right in. Paul is the one writing this, and he's writing from what's called the Mamertine prison. It was also known as the House of Darkness. Literally, he was down in a dungeon. If you were down in the spot that he was in, you were going to die. You were either going to die in that location, or you were going to be taken out of that hole and executed by the emperor. So this is why the book of 2 Timothy especially it's kind of scattershot. It covers a broad swath of things because he's trying to get Timothy as much information and declare as many truths over him as possible. That being said, I really like this particular chapter because there's an overarching theme of employment that's actually pretty helpful. So let's jump in. The first type of job he talks about is a soldier. Now, I've never been a soldier, but I've gotten to pastor a lot of soldiers and even more soldiers' kids. And those guys are incredible. You know this. Some of you were soldiers or still are soldiers. All of you probably know or are related to one. And the way that they're trained and the way that they live is amazing, genuinely amazing, especially that heart and that mindset of I'm willing to do whatever it takes, including laying down my life for the good of others, whether it's so others may live or so that this property or these people that I love, it's so they can be protected. I'm willing to give everything. My life currently, but even if it means all the way to death, I'm willing to give my life for others. Is that not one of the things we're called to as Christians? It's pretty amazing. The second job that's brought up is an athlete, and I know a lot about being an athlete. Some of you know I was a pretty prominent baseball player, and I dedicated a tremendous amount of time and attention into my craft. Now, growing up where I did, and now having the family I didn't have a lot of money for special lessons or to be on select teams. And so I just practiced every single day. I spent a lot of time every day going out and just throwing pitches up against the wall of our house. My mother probably still hears that thumping up against the wall every day. But that's what I would do in an effort to get better. The interesting thing about athletes, they all have clauses in their contracts, professional athletes, that say, hey, you can't do certain things outside of your job. You have to eat a particular way, or you're not allowed to ride a motorcycle or a skateboard. Baseball players, a lot of them aren't allowed to go golfing because a golf swing will mess up a baseball swing tremendously. The things you do outside of your chosen profession affects you, and so you've got to remain dedicated. That's what being an athlete's all about. Again, this is something that we're supposed to be conveying and doing as Christians. The next one we bring up is farmers. Now, I love farmers because I grew up in an agricultural community. It's also one of the reasons why I'm an Aggie, because nowhere in the Bible are farmers ever decried as a bad thing. Golden cows are always a problem. Red raiders are always a problem. But never, never, ever in the Bible are farmers seen as a bad thing. So, whoop, Gigamaggies, right? Anyway, I grew up in an agriculture community. I went and worked for farmers, and I picked cotton every summer. There was a rancher in our church. I helped him raise some of their cattle. And then I raised 5 hogs as well. Agricultural life is really, really sweet, but it takes a tremendous amount of dedication and patience. Dedication that's really like there is no I'm off the clock now. You're always a farmer. You're always tending to something. And my best friends, he and his family own a dairy farm, and they have to milk the cows twice a day. And it's before the sun comes up, and it's after the sun goes down. And there is no vacation because you can't run off and leave the cows. They'll die if you don't milk them, kind of a thing. It's incredible what it takes to be a farmer. But I really love that mindset and heart. Not only am I seeking to provide for myself, but I'm also seeking to provide for and bless others in the community. Again, Christians are called to this. And then the last one there is a workman. This is kind of a general employee. All of us can relate to this because all of us have a job of some kind, right? But it is interesting to think about whether you're the boss of your particular job. You still have to answer to people, and those would be the people that hire you to do the things. Maybe if you're self-employed, you're maybe a tax associate. If you don't do it right, you have to answer to those people. Well, even at my job here at the church, I have someone that I answer to, Pastor Eric. One of my first and most favorite jobs was my ex-girlfriend's father owned a car lot in town, and so he hired me to come and be the car washer. Every Saturday, I get to go to the car lot, and I get to drive all the cars. That was cool. But I'd pull a car out, I'd wash it, go and park it back, and then do the next one. There were, 30 or 40 cars every given Saturday. It was a really cool job. At any given moment, he could walk out and examine my work and tell me whether or not I was doing it properly. And certainly at the end of the day, I always had to answer to Mr. Shakui and make sure that I did my job properly. All of us have that kind of accountability in our life. Here's the point. All of these dynamics, all these places of employment, none of them encapsulate fully by themselves what it means to be a believer. Being a believer, it's not an employment thing, it's a role in our lives. There's nothing like it. But I will say this, all of these involve some type of dedication or discipline. And all of us can relate to that, whether it's our hobby or our job. All of us knows what it means. I need to work hard because I want to get good at this thing so that I can enjoy my life more or provide for my family. And this is the point that I think is so worth making, certainly towards students and kids, but really all of us, to be reminded of this. If we're willing to dedicate that much time and attention and affection and discipline and the things here on planet Earth, how much more of that is Jesus worthy of in our lives? How much more worthy is he of our faithfulness or our patience or our discipline, us thinking about our outside of what we normally do and how that affects our spiritual lives? All of this stuff, all of these roles, we can learn some things from them. And so I hope you'll talk about these jobs and how they affect us. Again, this chapter's kind of scattered shot, but that's kind of the overarching theme, right? Learn from these roles on planet Earth because it's one of the ways that point us back to our faith and our Savior. So I hope that's helpful. Guys, I love you. I'm praying for you, and I can't wait to see you on Sunday. We'll talk to you later. Again, Gig of Maggie's.